Take a minute and think about what you learned and don't let it stop you from keeping going, and incorporate that lesson, because anytime you've really kind of come up short or something didn't go the way you wanted to.
This is the Rock and Roll Startup. It's business, it's music, it's entrepreneurship at its finest.
Ready to rock.
So welcome to the second episode of the Rock and Roll Startup. We are joined by Michael Abramowitz, an awesome entrepreneur who has had 10 plus years as a tech entrepreneur, founded and participated in 15 plus startups, ranging from social media to fintech, obsessed with building companies through the creation of meaningful value, as well as he is currently working with Braid, which is how I met him, had someone from his team reach out to me who is awesome, and we've had great conversations. So welcome, Michael.
Hey, thanks for having me, Brenden. It's awesome to be here and love Video Supply, so happy to participate.
Hey, we're grateful to have you on. So I want you to tell our listeners a little bit about your background and journey as a tech entrepreneur and what inspired you to get involved in the startup world in general.
Yeah, so I've kind of always been involved with startups, going back to college, doing business plan competitions. Coming out of college, was part of a startup that tried to do business disaster and business continuity and disaster recovery centers. So like kind of huge facilities for data management that didn't end up working out, raised a lot of money, financial crisis hit, and we got stuck with a huge hole in the ground. And then from there, kind of learned the importance of needing to know how to manage your finances and went and studied accounting, got a CPA, spent some time working in finance on the regulatory side of things, and kind of saw the need for to learn how to program. So I learned how to code, and from there launched a dev shop with two friends from grad school. And the business model for that dev shop was to partner with startups or like spin outs from companies and discount our development fees in exchange for equity or revenue share agreement. So we kind of ran it like a little venture capital fund. And so we partnered with a bunch of different entrepreneurs, and that's how we got to, in that short time span, become a partner to about 15 plus startups and kind of see a lot of what works and what doesn't work, a lot of lessons along the way. And from there, went back and worked in finance for a little bit longer, was CTO of another startup that was focused on creating productivity tools for boards of directors. And we tried to take that to market during the COVID lockdowns. And that's when we were trying to get creative with our marketing. We were trying to use interview style content to create it, sort of podcast style content to talk to customers, employees, key stakeholders. But we had a really tough time doing it. And that's what gave me the idea to launch Braid. Braid It is the new company. We've been working on this for 2 years, and we really make it easy to source, edit, publish video content. So basically, instead of having to do live recordings, you create a prompt with a link. You can send it out to whomever you'd want, collect responses, combine them into clips, and publish anywhere and everywhere. And excited to talk more about that. And it's been quite the ride of entrepreneurship, seen a lot of success and failure, and happy to talk about it all.
I love that. So with all these different companies you've been a part of, I mean, obviously you get the booms and the busts, and some go up and down. How are you able to manage failure whenever you're faced with it? What's your method of being able to overcome that?
That's, I think, one of the most important lessons in entrepreneurship, and I think life. And I think the way to manage failure is to really let it hurt. Like, I think a lot of people say, oh, fail, it's fine. But like, I think it's supposed to hurt, okay? You don't start something and want it to fail. So if you just sit there and say, I failed, that's great. Like, but let it hurt, but take a minute and think about what you learned and don't let it stop you from keeping going, and incorporate that lesson. Because anytime you've really kind of come up short or something didn't go the way you wanted to, yeah, it sucks. Feel the pain, take a minute, think about what you learned, and make sure you don't repeat it, and make sure it's a learning experience, and make sure it makes it better, and don't let it be something that like keeps you knocked down. Like, you got to know how to take a punch. It's one of the most important things in life, and I think entrepreneurship's certainly taught me a lot of that. And I feel like, I could get hit a million times and like De Niro in Raging Bull, but you never knock me down, Ray.
Right,
It's
right.
kind of how it is. Yeah.
Well, I love that concept too, because when it comes to failure overall, I feel like when you're in school, you're taught failing is bad, right? You're going to get flunked out. Like your whole life's going to fall apart if you fail. But when you're in business, failing is important because that's the best way to learn. At least for me, when I screw something up, I learn way more than when I'm nailing it every day, right? And so,
It's 100% right. And you're going to fail a lot more than you succeed. And as long as you are able to actually like process it, learn from it, grow from it, it's not the end of the world. I think if you fail because you didn't put a lot of your effort into something, that's where failure is probably bad. But if you put like a ton of effort into something, you came up short, and there's a lesson to take away from it. And maybe the initial one's the lesson is that maybe I just didn't push this hard enough or something like that. That can be a lesson as well. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes their product market fit is such a thing, and then the exterior factors that you don't necessarily have control of. You can't force people to buy something, and that's also the tough thing when you're entrepreneurship is you got a product, you got to sell the product, and sometimes being able to, you don't want to force someone to use something, and so if there's a great fit, then it's almost effortless to get that. So.
No, yeah, and I think you have to learn your way there. And I think a big thing I've learned in creating products along the way is being flexible in what you're creating, being really, really focused. And you said it in the bio, but creating value for people. So basically, like when we first started this was a totally different product. And we went out there and we met with a lot of different people. We incorporated that feedback and we started to hear where the friction is, what's really going to create value for people, what's really going to actually make their lives a lot better in particular segments. And then when you're approaching sales, it's not like a 4-letter word. It's like, look, we've got something that if you're feeling this pain, if you want to create this type of content that we can enable you to do, we're the best way to do it. We're going to make your life 10 times better. I want to reach out to you because I want to help you. And that's when you get there, then you're running downhill. Yeah. But the process to get there is not easy, like you said. And I would just say, if there is a lesson to get there, you need to be able to endure your way there. It's an endurance sport, and it's financial. It's in your head, so you have to be able to grind through all of that to get your way there, and just be prepared that's going to could take a long time. Yeah.
I love that. I want to ask you another question here. Can you provide some insights into the challenges and opportunities that come with managing a business of this size? Some of the day-to-day challenges that you face and how you work with those.
Yeah, I think for the size of our business, we are on the smaller side, and we're trying to keep this tightly held, I guess is the word. And so if you run a business that way, you need to be lean, you need to be willing to wear a lot of hats, you need to be willing to context switch a lot, and I think you need to be willing to roll your sleeves up, get dirty, and actually do a lot of the work. When you're a small team, and you can probably appreciate this as well,
right.
It doesn't move if you don't push it, right? So if you want something done, you either got to do it yourself, find somebody on your team who can do it. And I think the challenge with that is just you can burn out if you're not careful, right? You can try to take on too much. So you got to be really kind of careful about where you're going to put your time, where you're going to put your energy into, and just be able to manage the fact that, okay, I'm taking a sales call in the morning, then I'm going to be doing some marketing, then I'm going to be talking to the product, and then maybe I actually have to come in and code something on this thing because, I wrote the initial version of it. So you got to just be able to wear all those different hats. Yeah.
That's pretty cool that you have the skill set to be able to wear all those hats too. I mean, in
yeah,
general, it's not very common. Most people just outsource.
And I think that's why we made it. Seriously, we when we led with an initial product, it wasn't there. The ability, I think, if you're going to be a tech company, having a technical founding team is critical. I think because you just need to be able to take the feedback and iterate quickly. And if something's not working, flip the table, try something new. And if you're just kind of paying everyone to make everything, that's a lot more expensive. It's like a cheat code to have a high quality technical founding team building a software product, because you can just do it. You can just get it done and get the product to improve on your own. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. So tell us more about Braid. it focuses on video marketing, and from what I've talked with it's not Devin, Darren. Davis, that's it.
Yeah.
As I've talked with Davis, we've looked at different ways that how we've been able to utilize it, whether it could be for UGC content, whether it could be for sending it a testimonial video to somebody. So you could have a prompt that says, hey, we loved working with you, and we would love to hear about what your journey was. If you could share that with us, then we'll share it on the internet, basically. And those are kind of some great use cases I can think of. But tell us more about the product and how people are utilizing it.
Yeah, one of the product itself, we're focused on making it easy to run a video first content strategy, and we make it easy to crowdsource kind of the raw footage for that. So you use a prompt with a link. You can send it to whomever you want, internally with your team, externally with your customers, other thought leaders in this space. If you're trying to kind of create thought leadership content, other experts, collect back these responses. They can be video, they can actually be image, text as well. And then you can use those responses and combine them to create like awesome content that either you're using externally for your marketing, internally for your communications. For podcasting, we've seen some really cool use cases. We actually, like, one of our first ICPs was freelance podcasters, and they worked with us to build this product out because a lot of the content creation is conversational. And we've seen some really cool audience engagement where they'll put the prompt out in like a show note or put it in a tweet and send it out, and people will respond, and then they can create these awesome clips with it. But where we're kind of focused in the fourth quarter and in the next year is focusing on like professional services, B2B type content creation, and really putting them in a position where, like I said, they can run a video first content strategy that felt way out of reach before, right? And working with companies like Video Supply that can help actually run it on behalf of them, do it, gloss it up, make it much more professional. So you collect all this raw footage, and then you want to actually use like sort of UGC content, but put it as B-roll alongside a more high gloss product video or a high gloss event video. We've seen really cool use cases in the event space as well. So we'll see people using our QR codes at live events or in trade show booths, people scanning them, sending video responses, and then like you're just sourcing raw organic footage that you can repurpose in a lot of different ways. So that one of the challenges seriously with our product is there's tons of use cases. So it's kind of figuring out where do we want to focus, where do we create the most value, and trying to actually like dig into one place. And then once we get there, we start seeing, oh, well, I could use it for this. And like, well, you could. That's actually a really great idea. So, yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, having a product that does have so many use cases, that could be kind of challenging to try and talk to somebody through, because even while I've been talking with you guys, it's been, well, I can use it here, and 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 then it's kind of like, well, now I've got 100 ways I can use this thing. Where do I start now?
Yeah.
And so it's making sure that that on both sides of it, it's like, hey, let's start one piece at a time, and that can be a simple process.
Where we've like had to improve a lot as a small company is basically be like, okay, you coming in as a customer, if you've got a million ways you want to try it, like let's pick a couple, get you accustomed to using this product, and then kind of take our hands off the bike and let you ride away for free or freely. So yeah, that's kind of how we've had to adjust and kind of get a lot better at helping people kind of pick that one to try it with, find success there, and then start to actually use it in a lot of different cool ways. So yeah,
for sure, love that. Well, can you tell us a success story or like a case study from Braid that demonstrates the impact that this has had? I mean, you mentioned some really good trade shows and how those, I mean, obviously I can see that mentally, but maybe share some of what some of your other clients.
That was actually a big one for us. And so this was actually recent. We had like I don't want to like name drop them without like their permission on the podcast, but like Fortune 100 company use our QR code feature at their biggest event in their trade show booth. And for us, it was just like a massive win, but they wanted to source raw footage from like loyal customers on the floor of the show and then be able to use it in a lot of different ways. And they were like, well, how are we going to do this? Do we walk around the show with a camera? Do we ask people to record on their cell phone and send it back to us? And we just kind of had the perfect solution to collect that type of content for them, and it went extraordinarily well for them. They got really raw footage of, like I said, loyal customers. The prompt was very bespoke to their space. It was focused on generative AI, and people were and which is an emotional topic for people. People like see the use cases. They also are like kind of scared of the implications of it, and so they got like 30 to 40 really great responses that covered all of that emotion. Was filmed organically, which in our day and age goes a lot farther than like high gloss content, right? So you kind of you need both, but you want a lot of like raw emotional footage, like that doesn't have the perfect audio, doesn't have the perfect lighting, maybe feels like they are recording it on their phone, because they are, and they were able to get that content using our product, and are now like reusing it in a lot of interesting ways, both to kind of recap the conference, recap the event, and repurpose across their marketing materials as a whole.
Well, I like that, because there's been a time I worked in tech sales for a moment, and I had to go and actually film some customers doing this exact thing, and it was a headache. It was a pretty big frustration. And so to be able to have that where it's, hey, I text this link to 20 people, if you record this, and we were actually giving out gift cards to, they were current clients, people still working with us. They were giving out an Amazon gift card if they would just sit and talk for a time, and it took a lot of time out of people's day. But if you could have just had that prompt, man, instant solution. That's
actually one of the features we're going to be introducing shortly, is like when they respond, you could send them back a coupon code or something. So basically, if you wanted that built in some sort of customer reward, then like upon completion of the response, they get something on the back end of it, just to kind of some loyalty, because the content you're getting from your customers, especially like testimonial type content, that's absolute gold. Yeah.
100%. I think that's probably some of the most valuable content you can get is a testimonial, an actual person talking about your thing, because you can use it as a written review, you can use it as a video review, you can cut it up into a UGC style video with the captions, and then add B-roll that looks fantastic. Yep. And there's just so many use cases, and it's not necessarily the spokesperson of your brand that's talking through it. It's just a normal person that looks like you and me,
Yeah, so that's exactly right. And that's one of the main use cases for the product. The others internally, especially like professional services orgs, you've got thought leadership content that helps you kind of humanize your brand, helps your people are your product, right? If you're a law firm, you're a consulting firm, and they are kind of camera shy. You don't see them putting out a lot of video content, but they need to be in this day and age, and they're really doing themselves a disservice if they're not, because you want your experts demonstrating their expertise and then deepening a relationship with their client. Every time they're on LinkedIn, they're going to see you talking about something that you know better than anyone else. And when that project comes up, they're going to think of you, right?
Right.
And you're also pushing this content out there. It's a great way to demonstrate your expertise. The best quote I heard about video content was from this guy Dason. We've connected on LinkedIn, but he says it's like, you clone yourselves a million times, and you're just out there saying the same thing on the street. You can't get that with any other medium, right? So, and for thought leadership, we see organizations kind of having a cadence of prompts, partners responding, and then you easily being able to take that content and use it as marketing content. And to the extent that it aligns with the current engagement, you can basically not have to take up a billable hour to get that raw content. So if a question comes up and they're like, our client's asking us this, you send it out across the firm, partners respond. You not only get to answer the client's question, but now you've got reusable marketing content. And it's kind of a cool way to think about getting this content without having to chew up billable time.
For sure. Yeah. And I love the idea that you said about how a video is like a clone of yourself 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as a sales force that sells while you sleep.
Yeah.
And we're launching a product soon. I'm not going to drop the name of it yet because we still are ideating on that. But the idea is a brand video service. And with this brand video, it's the starting point for most startups or for most businesses is to have something that explains who you are, emotionally connects with them, and sells them a little bit about where to go, what to do, how to purchase in this video, about 3 minutes max. And the benefit of having that type of content means that you can be asleep and it'll be and getting views while you're not even thinking about it. You can get people interested and converting them into sales. And there's no other medium that does that better than video. That's why it's such a powerful element for any type of team, whether you're a sales team, marketing team, internal communications, customer success. If you have video in every step of the process that you can almost automate away people, then it supplements what your people are actually doing. You make it so they don't have to work as hard to try and get on the phone. It's like, hey, here's a video. Most people will watch that versus like hopping on a call because everybody's shy ever since COVID, right? And so it's a big piece. And you guys are supplementing that. I mean, we work in the same space, so we understand how that synergy works too. And so it's cool to see the way that these adjacent products can weave together and super assist one another in the process.
No, we love like working with companies like Video Supply. Basically, like it's because you get the best of both, right?
Right.
Like you get the product, and then you also have like you said, high gloss production, so you can basically use raw footage if you want to use just raw kind of responses using our editor on like for social media posts. But if you want to combine that into like a 3-minute product reel, motion graphics, slick shots, which is going to go far for you as well, then you got to use someone like yourself, and that's what we have a great 1-2 punch. Working together with companies like you, yeah, for sure.
Exactly. And that's the other thing I saw, that it would be nice also for some social media type edits, to the fact you can throw captions on them, you can throw a little bit of branded content right onto it within Braid, I saw. So that makes it easy for the social media type edits, which are, for lack of a better term, kind of throwaway. We love social media but hate it at the same time because it's just constant, and most of the content doesn't have a very long shelf life. But, but we all need it. It
has like no shelf life. You need that, and that's kind of where we're stepping in. It's basically you need video content, 2-3 times a week minimum. Seriously, right. And it's a real lift for organizations. And most of them, their solution is to hire an intern, kind of rolling around the office, which is fine. Like it creates some cool content, but like teams are dispersed. People are work from home. How do you actually get these people on camera? That's kind of where we have an opportunity, and we're introducing what we call derivative assets this quarter as well. I mentioned like text and image, but so say you start with a video and you want to pull out like 4 frames and 4 quotes and have like an image carousel. So that's what the product will do for you. You want to create an audiogram that's just like me talking and then quotes and a wave file like that. So basically running that video, we say video first content strategy. Start with the raw video footage. From there you can create image posts, blogs, wave file or audiograms, carousels, the whole 9 yards, and it's just like 10x the amount of content for each of these prompts.
Wow, and that's going to be within, so after you prompt and someone puts in the video, they're going to be able to have access to all of those pieces of content from that. Wow.
Exactly. So when you're in the editor and you see the response, you can basically say, okay, let's turn this into a carousel. Okay, let's turn this into an audiogram. Yeah, or let's just download the audio and let's make a podcast from this. So that's where it's going to become really, really powerful. It's great now. It's
no kidding, yeah. Because you're going to stomp on Pod Squeeze with that. That's the thing. You're going to be stepping into some pretty big spaces of that.
Yeah, I think where we're trying to focus, though, is like I said, that professional services orgs, right? And those types of companies, like who's building that solution for them? Like they need this type of content as badly as anyone, right? But like nobody's really kind of saying, hey guys, I'm building the ultimate content creation suite for you. Right? Get this up for them. And that's kind of where we see a great opportunity to, like I said, create value for people, right? So
Agreed. Yeah, that's awesome. Is that going to be part of the regular subscription, or is that going to be like an upper tier to access that AI model?
Part of the professional tier. Yeah.
Professional tier. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, I know we don't got too much time left, but I do want to talk a little bit about music for a moment, just because I saw you put Rage Against the Machine, which is super fun. I love that. You'd be surprised how many entrepreneurs I meet that are into the kind of the heavier stuff, and I like heavy music as well. So and I teach guitar and drums a little bit, and I was talking to one of my students last night about Bulls on Parade and the the really
there
cool
you
riffs
go.
going in there. But with being into that kind of music at least a little bit, how does that help kind of drive you? Like, does it kind of motivate you to
Well,
have something?
yeah. I mean, the question was, what's your favorite rock and roll thing? And like, yeah, I can't like. There's no other. There's a couple, but like, if you listen to a song and you develop an attitude of like nothing is going to stop me, I'm just like no matter what. Like I said, take a punch, keep going, maybe hit back 10 times harder. That's Rage Against the Machine.
For sure.
Like literally every one of their tracks. You just put it on and you're just
Right.
you're it's like Kevlar. You're ready to take on the world. So yeah, no, that's why I love that stuff. Yeah.
For sure. And
I have to pick my points where I'm playing it. I don't want to be a maniac out here running around.
right. Well, and for sure. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen that documentary about Woodstock in the 90s and the riot they
Oh my
incited from
God,
that.
yeah.
And like,
They never
super fun.
showed that concert though. They showed all the others. I really
Oh, I
wanted to
know.
see
Oh,
the
I know
footage.
for sure. Yeah, because they're so great live. And the funny thing about it though is, like, for me, I like listening to that stuff, but during the workday, I can't touch music for the most part because I start
Yeah.
tapping my foot and like wanting to drum or like jam with it. So I'm like you with like lo-fi stuff
Yeah.
or just having some ambient, even classical stuff in the background to just kind of amplify the mood and the focus. And then when I can focus on the music and like really jam, it's like a separate thing. But it's just kind of fun to see that attitude play through because
Yeah.
most everybody's
It's a
listening
weird-
to music.
It's a weird juxtaposition, like Rage Against the Machine and then classical music for deep focus. But that's what I do, seriously. And then basically to music, like it helps context switching. And I talked about that as an entrepreneur. Like you just have to wear a lot of hats, especially like if you're taking something from 0 to 1. You could talk about like, a huge CEO of a huge company, maybe it's a different world. There's no one else but you in a lot of situations, and you just got to change gears. And I think music can be a great tool for that. Like I listen to this or this category when I do this. And I really do that. When I code, it's something. When I'm writing, it's something else. And it's like I said, lo-fi versus classical, and then like the hype thing.
Yeah.
That's sweet. We have that special playlist for that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's smart to segment that too, because if you're about to go into a conference, you're going to speak at a keynote, or you're going to go to a sales presentation, you have to be in the zone. And
Yeah.
I find that music puts me in certain zones quicker than
It
anything
does.
else. Like you can't talk yourself through prompts and like try and get you there, but a song will bring you right back to a moment in your life that's like, I'm freaking ready for this. Let's do this
Yeah.
thing, and it's powerful. It's something that all of us can kind of connect with. And it doesn't matter if you're the CEO of some massive company or you're just some kid in college. If you can connect on music, instant friends. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like
There's nothing more powerful than that. Yeah, and it does. It controls your heart rate. Like they
Yeah.
have these like running playlists that steps per minute, and they actually work. And like, yeah, it's just powerful. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And then, yeah, with all that, I know it's kind of a tangent to try and talk about that, but I love talking the music element because it brings the humanity to every person I talk to. It brings
Yeah.
just a moment of like, hey, this is something fun. We're people. We're not just here
Well,
for business.
when we were creating our brand identity, we made it a priority. We created an audio logo.
Oh, cool.
And we have like a chime. That's what the Braid chime. Maybe I'll send it after the call. You could
Oh, we got to.
work it into the episode.
Yeah, we'll bake it in right here or something.
Yeah, and I have like a really close friend who is a musician for corporate. Basically, he sources corporate stuff and kind of creates commercial grade music for them. Nick Block Music, check him out. So he actually made some theme music for us, and we try to use it in all of our marketing materials too. And I think that's something that a lot of maybe later stage companies recognize, but early stage companies, any kind of sensory hit that kind of creates some sort of brand association with you is incredibly valuable. And like you can create a mood about your company through audio, through sound. Like the same way Rage gets you pumped up, the same way classical gets you focused. Whatever kind of audio you create to identify with your brand is just as important as the video. It can be even more powerful as like a brand logo, especially if you're going to be creating a lot of video content or creating audio content. So they'll hear it, create some emotion associated with your company. It's something worth looking into.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, when we're making videos at Video Supply, the thought process behind the music is a pretty big chunk of the conceptualization of any video because of that, the emotional attachment, the feelings that it invokes. And big companies spend a lot of money to try and make sure that that's so dialed in that the second somebody sees something visually, hears something, it connects emotionally, whether that's like some, awesome blues rock type vibe if you're a car company, or if you're doing this light indie rock music if you're, Starbucks.
Exactly.
These types of ideas, they invoke different emotions for different styles of people, and that's part of the marketing mix, believe it or not. And so it's really cool to see how that can be interwoven as well. But
100%.
So Michael, as one of the last things, I do want you to share a little bit of how people can follow you and where they need to go to download Braid It, and tell us a little bit of kind of a call to action of how we can get involved with what you do.
Yeah, if you like me, I'm most active on LinkedIn. That's where I actually post a lot and have some decent amount of following. So yeah, find me on LinkedIn, connect, send me a DM. Honestly, I love talking to people. I think that's my favorite thing about doing entrepreneurship and business is just meeting people, creating relationships, showing off something that we've built, knowing we built it for them, and saying look, this is going to help you. And then if they actually use it, seeing that they're improving their lives. And then maybe I do it too much, but trying to be involved in creating all those relationships and talking to people and kind of getting to know people. So yeah, send me a DM, look out for me on LinkedIn. The company, braidit.com, BRAIDIT.com. Our socials are all Braid It app. You can follow us everywhere. And if you are interested in the product, check out Request a Demo. Again, you'll probably get me because I love to talk to people. or Davis, you met Davis, right? So
yeah, Davis is awesome.
He's our director of sales, and we'll walk you through everything, kind of tell you where we're going with the product. And you can buy directly from the site, but why miss an opportunity to meet me and meet Davis and have us kind of talk you through everything directly? So yeah, just reach out for sure.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you guys are interested in getting involved with the podcast, feel free to reach out at the Rock and Roll Startup. And if you are interested in video content, feel free to go to videosupply.com. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe and keep rocking. Thank you for joining us on the Rock and Roll Startup Podcast. If you're interested in being a guest, visit us at videosupply.com/contact. Again, videosupply.com/contact and inquire about the podcast. Also, if you're interested in utilizing our video services, book a time with us, and we'd love to sit down and chat and see what your goals are. Again, thank you for joining us for the Rock and Roll Startup.